On this episode, we talk about a literal bug in my computer, about Pocket Kris, about why it's so important that you love the camera you shoot with, and Bill visits Dresden in Germany, and I chime in with a few travel photo tips. This is Tips from the Top Floor, episode 790 for Thursday, September the 14th, 2017.
Tips from the top floor, tips from the top, alright, from the top floor.
Hey, hello and welcome, this is Kris Marquardt. You're listening to Tips from the Top Floor, the longest running photography show on the planet. I am back. I'm back from Lofoten in Norway, and my computer is in repair. Yeah, it is. The iMac that I usually record on. I sent it into repair before I left to Lofoten in Norway, just to make sure I have it back when I come back, but that did not happen. So it is, well, it's being fixed. But the interesting thing is, this is only a couple of years old, but it had two issues. One was a simple hardware issue. Well, not a really simple one, because it took me a while to figure out. And it came out when I edited photos, because I was seeing stuff on the screen that I knew wasn't there. And that was not me hallucinating. That was images being, almost like burnt in to the screen, like on some of the plasma TVs where you have a logo in the corner and it stays there forever. And those 5K displays apparently can do that as well. They have the, air quotes, ability to retain images. It's called image retention. And it goes away after a while. But in my case, well, it did go away, but these images appeared really quickly. Like you leave a window on the screen and then you move something else over it, and it is almost like it's looking through, like there's a bit of transparency. It's a really strange effect. It is something that was really bothering me, and the result is that I sent it in for repair, and they have now ordered a new display. It's going to get a new display. It's on warranty, so it won't cost me anything, just some time. And the other thing is the weirdest thing ever. The computer has a bug, but a literal bug. One day I was working. That was a few months back in summer, and there was this little bug making its way over the screen. And okay, in summer, window open, that can happen. Really tiny bug. I mean, one of those, I don't know, we call them in Germany, we call them Gewittertierchen. It would literally translate to thunderstorm animals, but it's tiny little insects, and it went across the screen, and I just tried to wipe it away. But it didn't go away because it was under the screen. It was under the glass of the screen, and it made its way all across the big display. And then it disappeared somewhere into the sides. And then it, a few days later, came back. And then it went away again. And I guess it probably died somewhere in the bezel of the screen. But hey, that shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be possible for an insect to get in there. So I'm now getting a new screen. I hope this is going to fix both issues. But yeah, it's still gone. So I'm recording this on my little travel laptop that I normally have reserved for travel, doing photography, Lightroom stuff on the road, which is an 11-inch MacBook Air. It's surprisingly good. The recording, the software works just fine. Everything works just fine, but the screen is a bit small compared to the other one. But I'll get this sorted. So anyway, a broken computer. Oh, another difference. This again is an 11-inch MacBook Air. It's a relatively old display. One thing I noticed is that the display is just not as brilliant as the 5K display. The colors are there has a limited color space. It doesn't really have as many colors as the other one, and as a result, I was editing some photos that I took in Norway, and I haven't published them yet because my normal workflow is to edit those on the 11-inch MacBook Air on the road, on the tour, and then I bring them home. I put them on the big computer. I import the Lightroom stuff into the big library, and then I check the photos, and I do last second adjustments because that bigger screen just shows me more detail and gives me more of a true photo, more of a true look at the photo. And I don't have to correct a lot, but a little bit here and there in the contrast and the colors, I will correct. And I haven't had the chance to do this, so that's why I haven't really posted any photos yet. Another question that came up a few times now has to do with the upcoming release of iOS 11 for you Apple people out there. iOS 11 is upon us. It will be released in, I think when you listen to this, it might already be out. And the question is, will Pocket Kris be updated for iOS 11? Now, Pocket Kris is this little series of 3 apps that help teach photography, that explain photography, and you can swipe through different scenarios of things and put a lot of sweat and heart into making this together with my brother and a programmer who did wonderful things to bring this to life. And the answer is no, it will not survive the iOS 11 transition. And I'm really sorry that I have to say this, but of course I'm not going to just leave you with no. You deserve an explanation. And let me try to put this in non-programmer terms. One of the reasons is that one of the big changes Apple is making for iOS 11 is it goes 64 bits. The operating system will be 64 bits only. And that's pretty much how those internal numbers and data structures and things are being represented in the programs, very much under the hood. And up to now, it was already 64 bits, but up to now, older 32-bit applications would still work. And they don't anymore, starting with iOS 11. And it's often a simple fix depending on the application. You will just change some data types and then recompile the whole thing, and then the compiler spits out a 64-bit compatible version, and you're golden, and you submit that, and everything is fine. Unfortunately, with Pocket Kris, it's a little bit more difficult, because to get Pocket Kris on the current track, so it's really compliant with everything. That means devices with new screen geometry. It means devices with new screen sizes and new aspect ratios. And if you know a little bit about development, the original assets, and an asset is like a picture, a screen element or something. The original assets then, as the resolution increased, were got 2x assets added to them that had twice the size, twice the dimensions, 4 times the size. And now we're looking at 3x assets, which are even bigger, which includes pretty much everything. I mean, all the images, the user interface elements, the content itself, and that all would have to be redone. And so, unfortunately, just recompiling the whole thing isn't enough. It's a real big amount of changes. And while I personally have dabbled in iOS development and I do understand the concepts, I am far from being good enough to do that rework myself. And it's also not enough to just hand it off to someone and say, "You do this." It would certainly help to be able to throw money at it, but it would still mean to sink a whole lot of time into this. And it's a free app, and it's just not economic. So, I'd have to hire someone, and in short, no one's really going to pay for that. And it was a really hard decision to let it rest. But yeah, I'm very sorry, but Pocket Kris is coming to the end of its life. Anyway, back to photography. Lofoten was amazing. I was there a year ago with a group. This year it was a proper vacation, just Monica and myself. And we didn't do too much photography, just a little bit, because it was a vacation. It was this, maybe we don't feel like doing anything, but we did a whole lot. I mean, we learned about the local food. They have a lot of dried fish there, which they make into a lot of things, including bacalhau, which is a Portuguese national dish kind of thing, because that's where they export a lot of that too. We learned a lot about like fishing, the difference between fishing with nets and with lines. We learned a lot about the aurora, about sea eagles. We stayed in fishing huts, old fishing huts that are now kind of redone for tourism. We took a boat ride over the Maelstrom, which is this big part of the ocean that is very dangerous, and the ships get caught and stuff. Edgar Allan Poe wrote about the Maelstrom. Jules Verne wrote about it. Jules Verne, if you've read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Maelstrom, that specific part of the sea, is where the Nautilus, his ship, gets lost. So it's a very famous kind of place, and we saw the Russian wood. There was a Russian freighter that got into problems there, and they had to dump all the wood that they were carrying, Siberian wood. So a lot of places on Lofoten Islands, which doesn't have any trees or not many, has now structures built from that wood, because it ended up on the island, on the shore, and people went to pick it up. We learned about, we saw 4,000-year-old stick figures in an old cave, and learned a lot about the Vikings. So it was a really good, kind of relaxing but still educational tour, and it was an amazing. In total, we were about 10 days. And from a photography point of view, of course, we did some photography, and we had an interesting mix of cameras with us. I had the 5D Mark IV with the 24 tilt shift, so my kind of favorite setup that I have these days. I also brought the Mamiya 645 film camera, as a medium format camera, 645, 6 by 4.5 centimeters image size. And then Monica did what she does pretty much all the time. She brought her Pentax 6x7, which is her medium format camera, which we lovingly call the Beast, because it's a big, heavy camera. And then she also brought a 4x5 inch large format camera. So we did some photography there. And then in the middle of this tour, her Pentax broke. It just would stop transporting the film. It's a really fine mechanical thing, and things can happen there, which made her very sad. But she's now sending it off to a repair guy here in Germany, a specialist for Pentax. Thanks to some thanks to some follower power on Twitter, we got she got some very good addresses, and that's one that she chose, and I will report back on that. But then to allow her to continue to shoot, I gave her the Mamiya 645, because I still have my digital one, so that allowed her to shoot, but also taught her and myself a lesson, because I'm not sure I've ever heard her curse that much in such a short time, because it's a different viewfinder. Her Pentax is an SLR, medium format SLR, but an SLR, which means you look through the viewfinder and you see the picture right side up, everything the right way. And that Mamiya 645, at least the one I have, has a waist level viewfinder, which is one that you look into from the top. And that has one thing that's different from the regular viewfinders, and it swaps the left and the right. So if you want to correct, for example, I mean, we were in Lofoten, which is at the sea, and So you have a lot of pictures with a very flat horizon on it from the sea. And if you want to correct that horizon, well, you tilt the camera in another direction, but you will always tilt the camera in the wrong direction. And that is very disturbing, especially when it's water. So, you should be glad you didn't hear her because she was not having fun. And the lesson is, of course, shoot with the camera you love. Shoot with the camera you know. Do not shoot with a camera that someone told you should be better and you believe them and then it doesn't work for you because you didn't take the time to try it out. And I don't know, someone told you have to have this because it has more megapixels or better autofocus or blah de blah. What counts is that you use a tool that you know well and that you can operate when it counts. So I have taken this to heart. I use cameras that I know and love. I try out new cameras. I give them time. But then if they don't work for me after a certain time, I will stop using them because they will hamper my photography. Use the tools you love. Hey, let me say a quick thank you to this week's sponsor, Canvas People. I brought some great photos from our Norway trip and even some good ones I shot with my phone. And I bet you also have a lot of great photos on your phones. Instead of letting those beautiful photos you took rot in your cell phone, you can bring them to life with canvaspeople.com. Canvaspeople.com is a really easy to use photo to canvas service that takes your favorite photo memories and turns them into beautiful artwork for you to enjoy every day. Hang them on the walls of your home, office, or give them as a gift. It's perfect for preserving all those family memories, and better yet, all canvases are high quality and made in the United States with fast shipping and great attention to detail. And with over 1 million customers served, you can buy with confidence. Normally, 11 by 14 canvases are priced at $69.99, but now for a limited time you can get one free 11 by 14 canvas. Just pay shipping. Simply use the promo code TOPFLOOR to take advantage of this offer. That's canvaspeople.com and promo code TOPFLOOR for a free 11 by 14 canvas.
Hi, Kris. Bill DiNincenzo here from just north of Boston, Massachusetts, in the U.S. I found your podcast and website about 10 months ago and have been a faithful listener ever since, even going back and listening to many of your past podcasts. I find them to be informative and entertaining. I hope to eventually get to the entire backlog. I have an opportunity to be in Germany on business for a couple of weeks. I'm going to be able to carve out a weekend in mid-November when I can put work aside and do some shooting. I'm going to be in Dresden and was wondering if you could recommend some places that are must-shoots to help me plan my trip. I've looked online and found lots of palaces, castles, cathedrals, and museums, so I'm sure I'll have plenty to shoot, but I was hoping you might by chance be able to give me some tips from the top floor as to what I should absolutely make time to see either in town or nearby. I fancy myself a hobbyist who loves street, cityscape, and landscape photography. I'm planning to have my Nikon D500 with a 35mm 1.8, a 17-55 2.8, and a 70-200 2.8. Once again, thank you for the podcast. I look forward to each and every episode.
Hey, Bill, thank you so much for sending this in. You will be in Dresden in Germany. Awesome. Now, let's see. Well, in general, Dresden is, as you said, it's stunning. It has amazing palaces, castles, cathedrals, lots of museums. It has a lot of history. And while I don't really know Dresden that well, but I've been there, but if you only have a weekend, then you will have plenty of opportunity to get great photos in the city, especially if you like street and cityscapes. Now, if you can, of course, make sure to be out for sunrise and sunset to get those majestic buildings in the right light. They will shine if you get them in the golden hour. And another thing you could do, well, a couple of more things. that you could do is you could take a ferry ride, a boat ride on the Elbe River, which goes through Dresden. For example, to the Moritzburg Castle. Moritz, Moritzburg, Moritzburg Castle. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's really beautiful. It's worth a trip, I would say. And then there are also some great landscapes only about 30 kilometers from Dresden, the so-called Elbe Sandstone Mountains, the in German Elbsandsteingebirge. And they extend across the border into the Czech Republic. They are beautiful. You will find some really great landscapes there. And again, of course, the same goes for the light. Make sure to be there during the golden hours if you can. That'll help make sure that you get the most gorgeous shots. One destination there is the Bastei Bridge, which is a bridge up high above the Elbe River, and it looks like it's beautiful. Another one is the Königstein Fortress, which is a 750-year-old historic mountain fortress, one of the largest ones in Europe. And again, you can also get to that destination on the Elbe River from Dresden. And Monica and I did that a few years ago, and it was a very, very memorable trip. And again, I will put links to that in the show notes. You're in for a treat. And that was it for this episode of Tips from the Top Floor. Thank you so much for being subscribed and for listening to the show and for being there. I wouldn't do this without you wonderful people out there listening to this. And thanks for your support as well.
You better let me know. I remember that I told you.
Of course, I'm always happy to hear from you. If you want to send something in, record it on your smartphone and send it to voice@tfttf.com. That's voice@tfttf.com. And again, hey, the Slack challenge is still open. Check it out on the Tips from the Top Floor Slack. If you want to get on board, go to tfttf.com/yslack, tfttf.com/whyslack. Music for the show by Jeff Smith, silent partner and Hans-Peter Kagrud, publishing by Release Pixie, Matt Reps, Didar Armstead, Slack invitations by CIO Russ, and again, he's the one who does the magic behind getting you on the Slack, so make sure to check out tfttf.com/yslack. My name's Kris Marquardt. Follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Kris Marquardt, Kris Marquardt. And of course, go out, take amazing photos, be nice to each other, and happy shooting.